The 5 women stood before him, their eyes burning with vengeance. "You thought you could ruin us and walk away," Shija hissed, gripping a leather belt. Then, the whipping began. Each lash was a scream, a name, a memory. "This is for the baby you made me abort at 18. This is for the gonorrhea you gave me. This is for the humiliation." Here is the full story of the fall of the Golden Boy. John Mavuto had it all: looks, wealth, and a future lined with gold. At 27, he was a civil engineering graduate from the University of Science and Technology, the heir to his family's empire, and engaged to Maria, the most coveted heiress in the country. But beneath the polished charm and designer suits lurked a predator. From as early as 18, John had left a trail of destruction. 3 pregnancies, paid off by his parents. Countless women carried scars, some emotional, some physical. STDs whispered in dark corners, silenced by money and threats. And then there were the high school girls, young, impressionable, and eager for his attention. He'd shower them with designer bags, iPhones, and stacks of cash, turning them against each other in petty fights for his favor. Some even dropped out, convinced he'd marry them. He never did. The women were tired. But before the reckoning, before the trap, before the fall, John was untouchable, and he believed it. John didn't just spend money, he performed it. He'd drive through Sock of the Market in his white Mercedes-AMG G63, windows down, blaring Burna Boy and Winky D, his gold chains glinting in the sun. He'd slow down just enough to wave at vendors with mock kindness, then throw a handful of $100 notes into the air. "Kawanda Kwamari Hakuna Nz Vimbo," he'd shout. "There's too much money, not enough space." Children and vendors scrambled, some cheered, others glared in silence. He once posted a video on his Instagram, throwing a wad of $100 bills in front of an old man begging by the market steps. The caption read, "Don't say I never did community service. #blessed, #too much sauce, #haters will hate." His comments were filled with praise, fire emojis, and laughter, but also warnings: one day you will fall. There's more to life than this foolishness, Mfana. *. He never listened. He believed he was chosen. John's car collection was more talked about than any politician's promises. A Range Rover Sport in midnight black, license plate, Boss JM. A Bentley Continental GT, only driven on Sundays. A BMW i8, matte gray, with custom red leather seats. A vintage Mercedes-Benz W123, just for aesthetics. Each time he bought a new car, he held a blessing reveal on Instagram Live. He'd pop champagne on the bonnet, light a cigar, and announce, "To my haters, God keeps embarrassing you on my behalf." He did burnouts in quiet neighborhoods, sped past police checkpoints. If he was caught, he slipped a few US dollars and kept driving. John had no empathy for the poor. To him, they were background noise, people who made him look shinier. At university, if a fellow student wore fake sneakers or carried a scuffed laptop bag, he'd laugh openly and loudly. "Bro, are you printing past exam papers from 2006 on that thing?" One time during a campus event, he publicly shamed a girl named Linda for bringing a cheap gift to a secret Santa exchange. "You bought me socks from OK. My dog wears better brands." The room went silent. Linda never showed up for the rest of the semester. John didn't blink. He posted a TikTok video later that night. "When peasants try to shop for royalty, #stay in your lane, $Dollar Tree swag." His Instagram was a shrine to materialism. Him posing shirtless beside a swimming pool holding a cigar. Wads of cash fanned across his bed like leaves in autumn. Girls in bikinis feeding him grapes. Captions like, "If you don't have haters, your bank account is too low. My apologies to poverty, I just never liked you." He live-streamed parties where girls danced on tables, some drunk to the point of collapse. He mocked them behind their backs, then called them back the next weekend. The comments praised his boss life, but beneath it all was emptiness. Still, John never stopped. He was too addicted to being admired, too drunk on his illusion of control. Then came the reckoning. 5 women, Tariro, Rumbi, Anasu, Shija, and Nyasha, had suffered in silence. But no more. One night, over cheap wine and burning rage, they plotted. We make him pay, Rumbi said, her voice trembling with years of suppressed fury. Nyasha and Tariro, the most alluring of the group, were chosen as bait. They played their roles flawlessly, flirting, feigning jealousy, stoking his ego. John, ever the arrogant playboy, took the bait without suspicion. Meet us at the Airbnb, Nyasha whispered, her fingers tracing his jaw. Just you, and us. The moment John stepped inside, the door locked behind him. Before he could react, Anisu smashed a vase over his head. Dazed, he collapsed. When he awoke, he was naked, bound to a chair, his skin prickling under the dim, flickering light. The 5 women stood before him, their eyes burning with vengeance. You thought you could ruin us and walk away, Shija hissed, gripping a leather belt. Then, the whipping began. Each lash was a scream, a name, a memory. This is for the baby you made me abort at 18. This is for the gonorrhea you gave me. This is for the humiliation. John howled, begging, bargaining, even crying, but they showed no mercy. When they were done, they forced him to record a confession, admitting to every pregnancy, every lie, every betrayal. Then, they sent it to Maria, his parents, and the media. Maria called off the engagement immediately, marrying a respected banker within months. His parents, horrified by the scandal, disowned him, cutting off his trust fund. The university revoked his degree after an investigation into his misconduct. The women he wronged sued him, dragging his name through the mud. John, once the prince of Mutare, was now a broken man, drunk, jobless, and living in a dingy flat. Following the confession, charges were filed. 3 women pressed charges. His parents, unable to contain the scandal, refused to pay for legal defense. The court sentenced John to 9 months in prison for assault, coercion, and distribution of non-consensual content. Chikurubi was a new world. No Egyptian cotton sheets, no wine, no cigars. John shared a cell with 7 other inmates, most of whom hated men like him, spoilt, rich, and entitled. He was beaten twice in his first month. So you used to make girls drink until they danced naked, huh? One inmate growled, smashing a tin plate against his jaw. He spent 2 weeks in the prison clinic. His once smooth face grew rough. His hair tangled. His skin lost its glow. He wrote a letter to Maria. She never replied. In prison, he had time. Time to remember. Every girl he mocked, every friend he humiliated, every dollar he threw like confetti, every soul he stepped on to climb higher. He had become the man he once mocked, the broke, forgotten man begging to be heard. And in that cell, something broke. But something else began to heal. Upon release, John was unrecognizable. He didn't return to his family. He lived in a small room in Dangambora, working odd jobs, helping at construction sites, fixing leaks. One Sunday, walking past a field in Old Mutare, he heard singing, raw, loud, and full of feeling. He followed the sound to a small open-air apostolic church gathering. They welcomed him, no judgment, just prayers and open arms. John began attending regularly. He stood in the back for weeks, quiet, watching. Then one day, he stepped forward and wept. I destroyed lives. I ruined futures. I was a god in my own head. But I was just broken. He gave his testimony one Sunday in full view of the congregation. People cried. Some forgave. Some didn't. But he had finally taken responsibility. He deleted all his social media. He sold his last watch, a Rolex he once used as a party trick, and used the money to buy groceries for a shelter for abused women. One day, he visited Voice After Silence, the very shelter started by the 5 women. Only Rumbi was there. She saw him. He knelt before her. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know, I see now. I was a monster. She didn't speak. She simply nodded, eyes heavy with emotion. John now leads youth discussions in churches, talking about pride, respect, and consequences. He doesn't ask for applause. He doesn't seek redemption from the world. He just wants peace. People still whisper about him. That's the one who used to throw money in Sakabva. He went mad. then found Jesus. But John smiles through it. Because this time, his victories aren't online, they're inside. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share, and don't forget to hit the notification button.